Hi, my name is Nina Linkoff, and we're here with Jay Parker, CEO of the Florida Brokerage of Douglas Elliman. Enjoy the interview.
It's a financial play, you know,
Okay.
bull and bear market.
Right.
You know, the bulls are aggressive and the bears are laid back and fat. And obviously, we want to be in a bullish market. We want to be in a powerful market that has good economics and good fundamentals. And I believe that this market does. I believe in South Florida. I think we have all the right ingredients to continue to be a destination for ultra-high net worth individuals, and then everything that follows that. At Douglas Elliman, we tend to focus on luxury.
Right.
Not to say that we don't deal with $100,000 listings, because we do. I have agents that really make their money on the $100,000 to $300,000 marketplace. But generally speaking, it's about as much work to do a $300,000 transaction as it is to do a $3 million transaction. So I would rather train our professionals to focus on the $3 million transactions where the commissions are higher and the caliber is higher. And what people tend to ignore is that as the market expands and becomes more powerful and becomes more robust from a luxury perspective, it generates opportunities for all other sectors 20 years ago. So if you look at the evolution of downtown and Brickell over 20 years, it's become an epicenter. It's become a walking community with every major restaurant, theaters, entertainment communities, the American Airlines Arena. It's a city where you can actually have everything at your fingertips. None of that existed before. And so with the question that you raise about the rental inventory, I don't think that the downtown market is necessarily going to be a subsidized income destination. I think there'll be other markets that will develop outside of the downtown corridor. And look, we know that a lot of people commute. And it's part of living in South Florida, or any other major metropolitan city. If you can't afford to live in Manhattan, you're going to live outside Manhattan. You're going to drive or take the train, and that's just the way cities evolve. And I can't sit here and say that we shouldn't build luxury product because we want to be worrying about the workforce housing. But I think that workforce housing is an important component, and it will be built in secondary and tertiary markets. And it is a concern. It is something we need to be sensitive to, but I can tell you that even our clientele is looking to build multifamily developments on the outskirts. And they recognize it as a great opportunity. I mean, you can still live very close to downtown Miami at a much lower price point, virtually half, by just moving 70, 80 blocks. Well, I would say that the cost of living in communities like North Bay Village, and further north, there's areas of North Miami that you can live in that are much less expensive than living in Miami Beach or downtown Miami, or even areas like Edgewater or Midtown are much less expensive from a rental perspective than living in downtown Miami or Miami Beach. Furthermore, you could live right here in the Historic Preservation District in a walk-up building at a fraction of the cost. I mean, you can live in a beautiful one-bedroom apartment right off Lincoln Road in a relatively new building for $2,000 a month. Good luck finding that in Beijing or New York or London. I mean, for $2,000 a month in New York, you're living in a studio apartment on the 5th floor that's a box as big as this room. Here you're living in a 1,000 square foot beautiful apartment with recessed lighting, with a beautiful balcony where you walk out your door and you're on Lincoln Road in a heartbeat. And that's appealing. And by the way, a studio apartment's much less. And you can walk. You can ride your skateboard. I have so many friends that are, in businesses that are not necessarily as lucrative as others, and they love living here. They hop on their deco bike, they ride to work, they park their bike. The cost of living is much lower, so we can accommodate the different demographics. I'm seeing people from Italy, I'm seeing people from Turkey, I'm seeing people from France, I'm seeing people from pretty much Spain, all over. And by the way, of course, you have the humongous Latin contingency that, that they say that people move from Latin America to South Florida because it's the closest city to the United States. I don't know if you got that, but it's unbelievable. I mean, we live in an extremely robust melting pot, and I think that it's appealing. If you look at one of the interesting days for me was when Italy was playing in the World Cup, and you would see Lincoln Road. It was Italy. I mean, there was thousands and thousands of Italians here cheering and celebrating, and if you look at Florida during the summer months where all the Europeans are on vacation, I mean, it's a European community. Art Basel's right around the corner. you will see people from all over the world here very comfortable moving in the path of Miami and Miami Beach, very familiar with what we have to offer. And I think people are coming here for all kinds of reasons, and I think those reasons are stable. It's not just flight capital. It's also wanting to live here, have a second home here, potentially relocate their family here, and they're looking for all kinds of reasons and ways to do that. I think this has been consistent over the last number of years, but with the world changing the way it has, with technology allowing people to be much more mobile than they've ever been, and with the tremendous pressure on taxes, you know, it's easy, and it's palatable, and there's all kinds of economic drivers that are making it feasible for people to be here more permanently. And I think that we'll continue to see that trend, and I think it's sort of like, you know, a pack. You know, when you get I remember one of my dearest friends now moved here about 5 years ago. A hedge fund manager, powerful guy, moves his family here, buys an apartment for $3 million, which is worth $6 million today, conservatively. And all of a sudden, I see, like almost like you could write it in a book. His first friend comes, his second friend comes, his third friend comes, then the other friends that have this beautiful estate in New York say, you know what, I'm going to take a look at Miami. It takes them 2 years, but eventually they make the move. And what happens? They bring their children, they bring their nannies, their children go to school here, and all of a sudden it becomes familiar and comfortable, and their friends come. So people move in packs. And I think that we've seen the New Yorkers, the California residents start to look at South Florida as a safe haven, as a community that now offers them all of the components that were critical to them where we didn't have it before. We didn't have the culture. We didn't have the educational institutions at the levels they're at today. With this new influx of people comes new investment. And not only investment for their own benefit, but charitable investment. So they're going to support the schools, they're going to support the hospitals, they're going to support the cultural institutions. So you see the Phil and Patricia Frost Museum of Natural Science, you see the Perez Art Museum, you see the Adrian Arts Center, you see the New World Symphony. All of these new introductions to our community support the needs of the more sophisticated buyers. And that is, in my mind, what is drawing the attention to South Florida, and I think what supports the sustainability of this market. And I think that that will continue. You know, we talked a lot recently about, you know, downtown and Brickell, and can we really support this growth? And for a while, I really questioned it. I said, where are we going to be? How is this going to play out?